So what we'd like to do is video record the annual presentation. We want to go ahead and post that online, maybe at YouTube or something. Details will follow. We'll send out a mass email to everyone as far as where this will be. We're going to go ahead and also ask that all your ballots be mailed in by March 31st. And we're also going to, after we have this out online, the recorded version, then we'll ask people to go ahead, look at it, read it, digest it, and then you'll be able to ask questions via email, or you can go ahead and we'll have an online session on March 25th via Zoom. And of course, there will be more details to follow and how to go ahead and go online to make contact with that. Okay, next slide. So on tonight's agenda, we'll talk about, I'll first introduce the board members. Then we'll talk about this past year's highlights. We will give the Common Lands report. We'll discuss our capital item expense this year, the playground. And, sorry, I can't see this. The treasurer report by Roger Waring. And lastly, then we'll talk about the nominations and the three people who are trying to be on the board again. Okay. So I'd like to thank this year's board members. They all have unique talents, but they all share the same love of this community, and it's all those common traits that make this year's board a very good team, and we got a lot accomplished this year. Next slide. So the highlights, we'll talk, I'll welcome the new members. We'll talk about events and activities. We'll talk about the events, both private and public at the park. We had a lot of sidewalks repaired, and we had 38 sections replaced. We'll talk about the landscape maintenance and the playground proposal, and then the financials and the board candidates. So this year we had 5 new members come move into the neighborhood. So we'd like to welcome you to the neighborhood. If you have any questions, and some of you I've already seen at our numerous events, thank you. And we hope that you would actually, if you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to make contact with us. Yeah. So this year we had all the same events and activities that we do normally, with the exception that we did change around the clam bake. We changed it into a chili cook-off. We actually had a couple of recommendations, change it up a little bit. Not everyone likes clams, but everybody really seemed to like the chili cook-off. Last year, the events and activities were approximately 5% of our budget. This year, they were 8%. They went up mainly because of the Christmas party, and the difference in being that there were a lot more kids. 2 years ago, you can see there were this many kids at the Christmas party. And this past year, we had at least twice as many kids, and with all their respective parents as well. So that's the main reason for the increase in the budget. Also, in addition to all the great amenities that this community provides, the park gets a lot of good use. 2 years ago, we had 20 events. This past year, it doubled. We had 40 events. And that ranged from birthday parties to anniversaries. We had a 1-mile run, 5K run. We also had, obviously like our end of school bonfire and whatnot. So this community is great. We offer lots of amenities for all the members and whatnot. In addition to the park and pavilion, we also, another great amenity that we have here at Echo Hills is the swim lake. It gets a lot of use. We offer lifeguard hours Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. We opened it a few days after school ended on June 2nd, and then we close it a couple days before school ends. It's also the place where we host the 4th of July party, which was very well attended this past year with over 80 people. And it's also nice to say that our water at the lake is very clean. Even with all the rainstorms that we actually had the county come out and give us 2 counts, and they actually occurred right after a rainstorm, and our counts were way below the safe level. So they were 48 and 8 colony forming units, which is well below the level of the unsafe level of 235. So the water at the lake is very safe. As you can see, kids are there having a good time and whatnot. So, thank you. As far as the common lands, as far as the expenses in which we incurred in keeping them up, we always have them mowing, fertilizing, weed whacking, and whatnot. We would like to thank Tom Pott for all his years of working at the Common Grounds. He decided to retire this past year, so we had to go ahead and hire another contractor. That was New Horizons, and they have been very nice to work with. And in addition to all the lawn mowing and the mulching, they've also done some additional projects that we've asked them to do, including mulching. And then at the top of Hickory Ridge, they added soil and grass. And we also asked them to go ahead and cut up some trees that were blocking a culvert on Deer Run. In addition to that, they also, on the Glen Hollow Court, they cleaned out the dead trees and they did some new landscaping. We added a new net to the volleyball, and we reworked the sand with a rototiller to make it really nice. I believe there's going to go ahead and I believe a volleyball league might start there this summer. There's been some interest in that. Kirk Goris and his wife Sue painted the shed a lovely green and beige color. We had our normal lake maintenance, and we had our yearly beach repair where we added 4 tons of sand. But before we did that, we raked the beach to make sure that we got all the leaves and all the detritus out of it. And then another big project that we undertook was a sidewalk repair, in which we replaced 38 squares around the neighborhood. So this is just a picture of the beach repair that occurred. I would like to thank the John Sutton family, the Joe Beyer family, Jake Ostrowski, Jack Molina, Annalise Piro, and Matt Popolewski. It's through volunteerism like that that helps maintain a lot of the amenities that we have here at Echo Hills, and I would like to thank all those people and all the work that they do. As far as Common Ground plans for the coming year, our big issue, the big thing that we want to talk about this year, is the new playground. In addition to that, we'll continue with the beach repair. We also want to go ahead and connect the bridges at the park, and there was one of the sides of the bridge fell off. We'll replace that. We want to add some post and rail fencing on the head wall there in the park, and of course we'll do our normal mulching around all the common areas. Now I'd like to introduce board member Dan Spitzer, who will be talking to us about the Echo Hills Community Park and the playground structure in which we would like to talk to you about. So Dan?
All right, so thank you for coming tonight, or watching this, and seeing what the Playground Committee has put together for you. Back in, I believe it was May, might be June, that we requested anybody in the neighborhood that wanted to be a part of this committee, that they could come out. We had our original meeting to discuss different options of how to change things. We knew, it came to our attention that there was issues with the main play set at the playground, and we needed to change out that play set or repair it. How we would do that, and so we put a committee group together that was absolutely fabulous. They put a lot of hard work into this over the last several months, and so we talked about originally the existing structures, the setup of things, what we would like to see. We got a lot of feedback. That original meeting had, I believe, almost 15 people at it, that we got a lot of different ideas, different things they'd like to see, amenities over time. So we're going to put together this package, but we wanted to really tackle the main issue this year that proposed. So we went over the proposed improvements and then the different options, costs, and other considerations that we could put together. The existing large playgrounds play set is it's over 30 years old. The integrity is starting to fail, and the park is one of the biggest selling points of this neighborhood. I know when we bought into the neighborhood, driving through it, seeing that we were going to be able to have our kids stay within the neighborhood was a big feature, and it continues to be a big value to this neighborhood for your home values. The park is an important part of the community. As you saw earlier, we hosted over 40 events at the pavilion this year. That continues to ramp up as I take the reservations for this year. We already have several on the books. So we can keep moving forward with having that nice playground. Showing the structural posts, you can see some of the rotting damage that's a little bit below the surface level. We've dug back a little bit there and discovered that they were starting to rot. And there's at the top of them, you can see them pitting. It's just, and now that we know that the structure's as old as it is, we've talked with different contractors, and to repair it, one, you're going to spend a lot of money repairing it, do a lot of structural things to it, and then it's not going to make it last all that much longer. So this is one of those things that we knew it's better to replace now. One slide already broke that we replaced with the little climbing wall. So we're looking to keep going with that. So proposed improvements, we're going to remove that large play structure and replace it with a more modern structure that fits the aesthetics of our community. We wanted to stay with that wooded look, something that's not going to stand out all that much as you're driving by. It's going to blend right in. Additional features are wanted for younger children. There's always new families with young children in the neighborhood, so giving them a more distinct area and a little area that they can play in. Additional seating has been talked about in other park features to create a more cohesive community space. So we'll be working on those as we go. The Playground Improvement Committee contacted several different contractors. During the busy season of the year, it was very hard to get anybody to come out, but we did get 2 official quotes and several over the phone that with the size of our current structure, to replace it with something that size, we were told that the budget that we were looking at was way too low. So they weren't even going to bother coming out. But most options are very expensive. Playgrounds are more expensive than I ever imagined, and they didn't meet the requirements that were to fit into the neighborhood, whether it's the color schemes or whether it kept the aesthetics of the park. So one of the quotes we got was from Game Time. He came out, and as some of the newer features that are at the park have those metal structures and the plastic, yes, it's brown and green to keep with it. So they put together a piece for us for almost $31,000. As you can see, that playset that's there has one larger slide and one smaller slide, one little staircase, a small bridge. It's smaller than the actual structure that's currently there, and that was for $31,000 that we were looking at that. We contacted a company called Bears. They do playgrounds for campsites and other areas. It's wood structures, and John Menifee is the one. His family does a lot of camping and their campgrounds just got a new set from Bears, so that's where we found them. So what you're looking at here is the top 2 pictures are of the same style of playset that we're looking at, and then the bottom 2 pictures are of a smaller playset that we would have for the younger children. This is all going to be customized for us once we get down and get this approved. Give you a little background on Bears, because this is the option we really decided to go with. They've been in business for over 20 years. They're based out of Lima, New York. Playsets are built from cedar logs. They're protected with a water-based natural brown stain that we'll be able to maintain. They have a 10-year structural warranty on the cedar log structure parts and the floor decking, 5-year warranty on the Super Duty plastic slides, wire cables, and steel parts and accessories, and then a 2 and a 1 year warranty on other pieces of equipment. So if you see here, spacebar. If you see here, this is a little bit more of a video to kind of take you around what that playset's going to look like, that larger playset. Not everything you see here is what we'll end up having at the park here, as we get to customize it and build it out to the specs to fit our area, but this is the style that we're looking for. Another picture here of that same one. And then the budget that we were looking at. Originally, when the Playground Committee got together, the board had discussed for several months what kind of budget we were looking for. And in all reality, we didn't know how much play sets really cost. Once we got into those numbers, we wanted to stay around the $30,000 mark. So the playground structures from Bears are going to come in around a little over $23,000. Delivery and installation, we've chose to have them install for several different reasons, but the delivery and installation of it is around $8,000. Demo and site prep is going to be around $2,000. That demo and site prep will mainly be done as a community demo. We will get together and be able to take down the current structure and a couple other pieces as a community. We're going to rent a dumpster, throw it all in, salvage any pieces we can if anybody wants to, have any ideas of what to do with those. But we'll possibly need to take down a couple of trees, and then there's a couple of other trees at the park that already need to be taken down for other reasons. Also, if there's any dirt that we need to bring in to level out any ground and things like that. So that's where that $2,000 budget is. We are adding in around a 10% cushion there, just in case anything goes wrong, anything else is found out that we need to do. And then we're also going to be renting a Bobcat. That Bobcat is not just for helping with the demo. It's going to help with some landscaping projects and everything there. So we've got that added on. And then bridge repair we've put in to help redo the bridge that's at the park. We've added that in, and that's where we came up with that $38,000 asking price that we're asking for the community for. As I wrap up the Playground Committee presentation, I would like to thank the Playground Committee that put this all together, from all of the people that were involved early stages, and then the main group of Rebecca Ferrante Crocker, John Menifee, Hannah Ilinsick, and Lisa Dye. Thank you for all of your hard work that you've put into this, the many emails, phone calls, the text chain, and we will continue to work on this through seeing the project through. And thank you so much. If you see them in the neighborhoods, thank them as we move forward. Now moving into the financial statements, I would like to introduce Roger Waring, the treasurer.
Hey, I'm Roger Waring. I'm the treasurer. I have been for the last 3 years. I'm going to go with the financial statements now with you. We're going to start off with the balance sheet. On the balance sheet, we've got roughly $39,000 in operating cash, about $132,000 in capital cash, for a total cash of a little over $171,000. On the accounts receivable side, we're looking at about $13,560 in total, of which we've got an allowance set up for $7,500 for people that don't pay their dues. So our total accounts receivable that we should be able to collect is about $6,060. The only thing we got on the balance sheet is the land improvements, which include the basketball court and the culvert, which come to about $32,000. So total assets are about $209,000 for the club. Now we'll take a look at the income statement. Now, as you remember, the due split up is $200 to the dues, $100 to the capital assessment of the total $300 that we charge. Capital assessment brought in $25,990. Dues brought in almost $52,000. We had $800 of initiation fees, which is from new people moving in and having to be switched over onto the system. Had a few bucks in late fees for a total income of a little over $78,000. As you look at the expenses, most are pretty current, maintaining what they've usually been. You got insurance expense, that's about $6,500. That's one of the bigger ones there. The really big one is landscaping and groundskeeping, which is $37,000. The reason that's so high is a couple reasons. The main reason is because we had to switch contractors. We had to switch to New Horizons because Tom Potts retired. So we didn't have the economy of having one landscape for the entire year. We had to split it between two, but now we've got a contract with New Horizons going forward. So that cost should come down next year. The other big cost, lifeguards, was up to $5,000 this year. That's just because we had more lake time and had more people swimming at the lake. Another big one was social events. It was almost $3,700, and the jump there was also due to, as Bob had explained, that the Christmas party was a lot bigger than it has been in the past. So altogether, we ended up with a net income of $16,327. Now we'll take a look at the statement of cash flows. What this consists of is total is your $16,327. Capital fund brought in $26,790. So the difference in the two is a $10,000 operating loss. Now I'll get back to that in a second. Then you had your change in accounts receivables across both, your beginning cash, then your ending cash. Now as you notice, the operating cash went from 48 to 39. The reason for that is we're doing that purposely, and I had spoken about this last year also. What we're doing is we're shifting money from the operating account to the capital account. The operating account has too much cash in it. At the end of the year, the operating account should have about $15,000 in it. As you see, this year we bled off $8,000. That $8,000 went directly into the capital fund. So over the next 2 years, if we keep the same structure of 200 to operating, 100 to capital, we'll bleed off about another $16,000 into the capital fund, leaving us at about $15,000 in the operating. At that point, we'll probably switch the dues up and be maybe $215 and $85. Or $225 and $75, so that our operating does not drop any lower than 15 by the end of the year. And now we'll take a look at the budget, profit and loss versus the budget. As you can see, income was right on the spot. There's not much we can do about that. We know what we're going to bill out, and that's what we bill. The big increase was in landscaping and groundskeeping, which was $6,000 over budget. And the main reason for that was because we used 2 contractors instead of 1. We really didn't have much of a choice because, as Bob had said, Tom Pott retired, and then we had to pick up New Horizons as a new contractor. But we do have them for the entire next year. So that should bring that amount down. I still bumped up the budget by $3,000, bringing it up to $34,000 for the current year. I'd rather have it a few dollars over than under again. The other major area which we were under, was actually the social events. Now, we were under by about $900, but the difference there, the Christmas party went up, but there was 2 events we really didn't have. We had to cancel the Halloween party for the kids because of the weather, and we really didn't have a new member social this year, which we're planning on having next year. So that's why, in effect, I kept the budget virtually the same. I think it's $50 more than it was in the prior year. So that was not much of a change at all. So as you can see, the budgeted income is $17,680 for next year. Last year, we actually were about $3,000 over on expenses from what we had planned last year. But then again, that's going to roll up through the landscaping and groundkeeping. Now we're going to take a look at the cash projection. Okay, beginning cash. That is our ending cash for this year. So you can see the 71, the 39, and the 131. Budget income or loss in total is $17,680, of which we know $26,000 is going to go right into the capital fund, leaving a deficit of $83.20 in the operating, which is what we had talked about before. So you can see the effect of that, the playground expenditure of $38,000 coming out of the capital fund. You can see that the ending cash balance in total is $151,000. We've got $31,000 left in operating, and we've still got nearly $120,000 in the capital account, which is plenty to go forward with. Now, I think Bob is going to go over next with the candidates.
So this year, the 3 board members whose terms are expiring are Ben Murphy, Roger Waring, and myself, Bob Ostrowski. I would like to thank Ben Murphy for his service. He has decided not to go up for re-election this year. Ben was instrumental in many projects this year, and he took the lead in the wall and floor repair of the park shed. That was a tremendous project. He took the lead on all that, and it was a great success. He brought together all the leadership and everyone else that helped in that project as well. So thank you, Ben, for all your hard work. Continuing trustees next year are Joe Kepley, Liz Schulte, Kurt Goris, Jack Molina, Joe Byer, and Dan Spitzer. We have 3 board candidates that would like to seek election for this coming year: Lauren Grindle, Roger Waring, and myself, Bob Ostrowski. And in addition to these 3, if there are any write-in candidates that would like to participate, please go ahead and write them in when you turn in your ballots. At this time, I would like to ask Lauren Grindle to come up and give your bio.
Greetings, Echo Hills community members. My name is Lauren Grindle, and I am a very proud 4-year resident of this community. And as far as what I do professionally, I am an attorney. I work for a legal education company, and in the past, I've also worked with a number of banks and financial institutions in the mortgage industry. And I would like to help serve this fantastic community of ours because my husband and my 2-year-old daughter, Amelia, have come to truly love this community, the people, the community amenities. We were drawn to Brecksville initially because of the great schools, but it became very apparent to us during our house search that we wanted not just Brecksville, but we wanted Echo Hills for the community amenities, the playground, the swim lakes. We knew that this really, truly was the neighborhood that we wanted to live and raise a family. So for that reason, I'd like to do anything and everything I can to serve this community, and I'd love to do so in the capacity as a board member. Thank you very much.
So the next candidate who would like to seek election is our current treasurer, Roger Waring. So at this time, I'd like to ask Roger to come up and give his bio.
Hi, I'm Roger Waring. You've seen me the last 3 years as the treasurer. I'm looking forward to doing it again, if you're willing to have me. My wife and I have been in the development since 2004. We have triplet girls that are 14 now, and I enjoy helping out any way I can. And right now, the best way I can help out is being treasurer. I've got my CPA and MBA, and I think I've done a pretty good job so far, but you guys can be the judge of that with your votes. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Bob Ostrowski. I would like to seek re-election in the coming year on the board. I love this community. I've been here since 2007 with my lovely wife and 3 children. I love just helping out in any way, shape, or form. The first year on the board, I was part of the social committee, and then the last 2 years I served as the president. So if you could vote for me again, I would like to help out for the next 3 years. So thank you. So moving forward, so during this unprecedented time, we wanted to provide the annual meeting to everyone online. Please, I know there's going to be some questions, so please go ahead and email us, which we will respond as fast as we can, to board@echohills.org. And also, what we would like to do is, as you digest this meeting and the ballots and everything, and we would like to go ahead and offer a live virtual question and answer period on March 25th at 7 p.m., probably through Zoom. Again, we'll provide details on this through an email. And then after about a week after then the 25th, on the 31st, then we'll ask that all ballots be turned in by 5 p.m. sharp. And you can see the address to the mailbox at the bottom. You can either mail it or you can drop it in yourself. So thank you, everyone, for your patience, and we look forward to having a great year here again at Echo Hills. Thank you very much. Have a good night.